And we don't even really know much about him except for the fact that he likes classical music and that he has refined taste. And I think this is a really brilliant way to comment on the difference between the working laborer class and this kind of managerial class. Hey everybody, my name is Nick. I'm a director living in Taiwan, and today I'm going to be talking about the film The Hill of No Return, directed by Wang Teng. So recently, I was able to attend a screening of this film with a Q&A from the director, and I was really blown away by how great it was. The film very, very cleverly and clearly breaks down the ways in which laborers are exploited by a capitalist society. And the more I thought about it, the more its careful and subtle construction of this fact struck me as so brilliantly executed. It's primarily about a gold mining town, so in many ways I think you could compare this film to John Sayles' film Matawan. But while Matawan is more overtly political, like that movie is about politics, The Hill of No Return kind of focuses more on relationships. And in doing so, it shows the breakdown of these relationships within this capitalist system. And this offers, to me, a more heartbreaking portrayal of what happens to laborers. And it's arguably more haunting and more effective than even a film like Matawan, which, by the way, is an excellent, excellent movie. So before I continue, this is a breakdown of what I believe the meaning of the film is. And there are spoilers in this review. Even though I don't really believe a great film like this can be spoiled, since the experience of watching it is kind of the point. Even if you know the plot, like experiencing the way that the director executed the film is more important than like knowing all the specific beats. So I personally don't think a movie like this can be spoiled, but if that matters to you, please go watch the film first, then come back and check out this review. So the film opens on these two laborers who hear about Jiufeng from an old man. And they hear that it's a place where people can get rich. So they escape their current work contract and go and travel to this mining town of Jiufeng to try and get rich mining gold. It's interesting that right at the start, the thing the workers are escaping their labor to go do is more labor. They aren't trying to go and become like movie stars, or they aren't trying to open their own company. They already know that that's not really a possibility for them. They need to work within this kind of system, and they know what class they are. So they arrive in Jiufeng, and they're greeted right away at the very beginning by a mine explosion and the severed head of a guy who was trying to steal gold from the mine. So it's like not so subtle foreshadowing about what those who seek riches in gold are to expect when they enter this kind of closed capitalist system of this little mining town that they're about to enter. The workers then start their labor in the mines, and this is juxtaposed very early on with another new employee of the mine that comes at the same time as these two laborers. The Japanese company that owns the mine has sent a new manager, and this character is introduced with a lot of fanfare right in the beginning of the film. The director signals that this is a very important character. Like, they stop the scene and allow him to walk in, and everybody says, "Oh, hello," and the camera follows him, and he's given a lot of weight. He sits and he looks over everything, and then he proceeds to do nothing. He proceeds to sit at his desk and do nothing. And then later on in the film, we barely see this character unless he's reprimanding other characters for what he believes is bad behavior. And we don't even really know much about him except for the fact that he likes classical music and that he has refined taste. And I think this is a really brilliant way to comment on the difference between the working laborer class and this kind of managerial class by kind of setting him up as this super important character, but then also kind of showing through the film that he's not doing a whole lot, and that his position is really one of just maintaining the control and this system, and he's not really part of it in a meaningful way, where he's not really working alongside these people. He's not really connecting with anybody in the town. He doesn't have relationships with anybody in the town. It's a very, very subtle, but very, I believe, scathing commentary of the way these systems are set up to work. The real main characters of this film are all of the laborers in the town. This is a mining town, and so we get a picture of all these different people who are there to mine gold, but we also see, all the other people that are working in this town. So we get a picture of a widow who is renting out her apartment to people who come to the town. And she's also selling her body to kind of make extra money on the side for her children, and also to save up to be able to leave this system. Then there's also a brothel, and we see the way that the madam, the owner of this business, really treats her employees, all of the prostitutes, really badly, and doesn't really consider them to be people. She really considers everybody that works under her to be a commodity. Within the prostitution house, there's also a young boy and a young girl who are part Japanese, and these young people work as cleaners, and the boy is in love with the girl, and he wants to save money to buy her freedom and take her back with him, so that they can be together because they love each other. But she's ostensibly owned as a worker by the madam of this brothel, and he, as a poor cleaning boy, doesn't have enough money to be able to buy her freedom. This plotline for me is the most disturbing illustration of the themes in the film, because everyone sees this young woman as a commodity. This young cleaning girl who's, I think it's implied she's like 14, something like that. And everyone is waiting for the day when this very beautiful young girl will stop being a cleaning girl and become a prostitute in the brothel. All of the men always try and purchase her, even though she's not for sale. So there's a point in the film when all the miners, in an effort to kind of try and take back the fruit of their labor, they start stealing gold from the mine. And they take it to the brothel to smuggle out the gold. And they do it in an interesting way. They put it in the lady parts of the prostitutes to take out of the town. And the boy, in an effort to try and get this girl's freedom, he goes to the manager and tells him about how this smuggling is happening. And he says, I'll tell you, give me the girl and we get to leave together, and how they're stealing the money now. But instead of doing that, the manager kind of doesn't really uphold his promise. He goes to the brothel to look for all the money, and he checks all of the prostitutes for the cash in their lady parts. And he also checks the private parts of the cleaning girl, because he just considers her another one of these women in the place. She's just a worker to him. The guards end up sticking their fingers into her private parts to check to see if she's hiding gold in there, which she is not. In doing that, she is then deemed unclean or not a virgin anymore, because the guards put their fingers inside of her and made her bleed. And it's really disturbing the way that then she is treated after that, because she is no longer considered like a pure young girl that can be a cleaning girl. She has become a product that now works in the brothel. So after this happens to her, the madam of the brothel makes her a prostitute. And in one of the most disturbing moments of the film, all of the miners in the town, instead of treating this girl like the victim of abuse that she was, where she was abused by these guards, instead of everybody feeling sympathy towards her, they're all excited that now she is working in the brothel. And they all line up to go try out this new commodity that they have. It really illustrates how dehumanizing it is to live in this kind of unfettered, unregulated capitalist system where everybody is treated like a commodity, where there's this long line of men waiting their turn, everybody waiting for their chance to get what they want out of this person. She's not being treated like a human, she's being treated like a product that they want. Hill of No Return has many such subplots, and all of the subplots drive home how this desire for money kind of ruins our humanity. The miners smuggling out gold, this whole sequence, they end up getting caught, and rectal checks for them end up becoming the norm at the end of their workday. And so again, another element of their humanity is taken away so that the company can kind of maintain its bottom line. One of the miners, who is sort of like a comic relief character, eventually decides to leave the town because he's tired of being dehumanized in this way. And as he leaves, he reveals that he came to this town with nothing, trying to get rich, and he is leaving with nothing. He hasn't been able to save any money. He hasn't been able to make anything out of himself by working in this gold mining company. And so it really illustrates that this system thrives on the promises that it gives to the working class and the laborers to make them rich. But the reality is that if you're in the lower class, you're never really going to be able to get ahead because everything is set up against you. You know, you need to spend all the money that you make just to live. And so the way that this character decides to regain his humanity is by basically opting out of the system, by saying, okay, I tried it, it didn't work, I'm leaving, I'm going to go do something else. So it's a nice moment for this character, but it's also a very sad moment for all the other characters that are stuck in this system and still trying to make it work for themselves. He kind of mocks them and says, you think you're going to get ahead, but you're not. Another major plot point of the film is that of the two original laborers that came to the town that we follow, they both take up board with the single mother, the widow. And one of them ends up falling in love with her. And this relationship is one of the most genuine connections in the film. He doesn't want to pay her for sex, and he eventually gets her to stop selling herself. And they have this real connection. They have a lot of scenes that are really sweet and really illustrate the love that they have for each other. And they discuss leaving the mining town and buying a farm together so that they can work for themselves. The problem is that they need the money to do it. And, you know, she's been trying to save this money, but he doesn't want her to do that anymore. Sell herself anymore. So in the end, he's killed by sneaking into the mine at night and trying to steal gold so that they can buy their farm. But then there's an explosion, just like at the beginning of the film, and he dies in the explosion. And this is, again, this genuine connection that these two people had ends up getting taken away because of this system that they're stuck inside, that they're trying to get out of, but they can't. There's a really sad scene at the end where the woman, it's sad, and it's both sad and funny because the woman says, how do you know that I really love this man? The reason you know that I really loved him is because I never made him pay me for sex. I had sex with him without making him pay. So it wasn't a transactional relationship between us. This was a genuine relationship where we wanted to be with each other. We wanted to be around each other. And it's funny, but it's also kind of sad that like that is the measure of it for the people in this society. At the end of the film, the laborer's other friend who traveled there with him, he's up at the top of a hill mourning his dead friend, and he's met there by the cleaning girl that turned into a prostitute. And she's sickly now and kind of gone insane from being abused and used in this way at the brothel. And they have a nice moment where they talk about grief and sadness because the cleaning boy is killed eventually for his participation, trying to, he has conflict with the manager. And they kind of talk about this grief that they both have. And it seems at the beginning of this scene that this is a nice humanistic moment, but then the cleaning girl tells the laborer that he can have sex with her to make himself feel better. And he does. He has sex with her. That's how the movie ends. And to me, this is the most tragic, this is another really tragic moment of the film. And it's the reason I started thinking about this as a critique of capitalism, because at the end of all this, these two people are only able to engage with each other as commodities. The cleaning girl sees her only worth as being something she can give to someone, like this commodity of her body. Like that's the only way she knows how to give herself worth or help somebody. And the laborer believes that engaging in this exchange is what's going to give him meaning and make him feel better in this situation. But in reality, what they do by engaging in this exchange is that they strip away their humanity. It's a very disturbing ending to the film. And I think that's the reason that I think what the director is trying to say with this whole movie is about the dehumanizing nature of engaging with people in these kind of monetary ways and thinking about our life only in terms of money and how much money we can get or what we can buy or what we can trade or what we can do. Please feel free to tell me I'm wrong in the comments. I actually do like arguing with people on YouTube comments. It's kind of fun. So yeah, remember to like, share, subscribe, and let me know what video you'd like me to review next. And please check out Hill of No Return and other Taiwanese films.